Old friends are like old memories. They always remind you of your past, and we are reminding ourselves of the past episodes from this week of Good Company for the Best of Good Company with me, Hollie Taylor. I'm Hollie Taylor for Good Company, and I noticed something different this Easter, and maybe it's been happening for a long time, and in my hustle and bustle to get my kids off to church, honestly, it was a battle. I was like, at the end of it, I'm just like, wear whatever you want to wear. I can't anymore. You want to wear runners? Wear your runners. So we had kind of a hodgepodge of fashion leaving the house. And I know you're not going to church for fashion. I know it's about Jesus. But when I was younger, it was a tradition to wear something new on Easter. Just that symbol of it's a new life, it's a new day, it's a new season. So it was interesting just to have that conversation with my kids who honestly aren't really confronted with any kind of dress code in this day and age. So that was kind of odd. And then I went to church and there were so many people who were very, very casual. Some dressed up in their Sunday bests. But it was just, I don't know, tradition, little C church culture over big C church culture. I mean, I was just happy to be there. It was a full house. It had a really beautiful message about Easter and its impact to us. So I know on the priority list, what you wear is at the very bottom, but it was one of those things. I talked about it before. You know, I'd wear your white patent church shoes that very, Easter Sunday, and it was spring finally, and I've seen daffodils and tulips, and you just dress nicely to go to church. But that's changed. It's more come as you are. But even businesses shifting back to dress codes. I know there's a popular coffee chain, and they're going back to a black shirt, black and blue pants, and the green aprons, making it uniform across the board. So dress codes, are they going to make a comeback? Are we going to wear our Sunday Easter dresses next Easter next year? I don't know. Maybe we're just a bit more comfier than what we once were, but dress codes, things sure have changed. Have you noticed this? 905-338-1250. Looking forward to hearing from you today. It was really interesting on Sunday morning, and just people were truly coming as they were. And I appreciate that. I know a lot of effort and energy goes into what you wear sometimes, but Jesus doesn't care. He just wants you for you. But yeah, I still made my kids try to wear a dress, although the youngest. Oh man, my grandmother would have been so disappointed. Khaki pants, running shoes, but a nice shirt, so we'll take that. We'll take the wins or we get them. Producer Mike, have you noticed any dress code changes in your day?
I don't know if I've noticed it, but I remember my parents telling me about the days of air travel when it used to be refined and you would get dressed up to go fly, and now it's like you're wearing your pajamas and you've got a neck pillow that you've been resting on for 8 hours.
I would say in our defense as air travelers, it is less comfortable to travel.
This is true.
Everything's more squished. You have less leg room. Yeah. I mean, it feels like sometimes cattle service. Like we're all just being crowded in together.
Very true, very true. So you may as well be comfortable where you can get it, right?
Exactly.
Leave the tuxedo at home.
Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, we are definitely a bit more of a casual society now, and it's infiltrated all areas. I actually saw I think it was like an Instagram reel, and it was of two women who are friends who had been in Canada for a year, and they were noticing the fashion trends. And so it was like an image of them when we first arrived, and they were dressed like very nicely in heels and like a nice dress, very European. And then by the time a year had shifted, they're there with their Stanley mugs, their very, very comfy running shoes, sweatpants, and of course your plaid jacket. Not even just a plaid shirt. So it's funny. Then all the comments, the longer you're here, the more casual you get. You know what? We're more about what's on the inside. That's what counts. Be comfy if you need to be. But yeah, is there still a time and place to be dressing up? I would say yes. And I would love to see us return to that. Just, every once in a while. Like, this is what we wear. This is the dress code. And outside of the office, too. Because I know offices have dress codes, but yeah, what are your thoughts? Text in 905-338-1250. I'm Hollie Taylor, and we're talking about Earth Day and some of those family traditions. I know for a lot of families, we've just basically shifted how we approach our purchasing or our purchase power, if you will. And I hear a lot of kids loving to go to those thrift stores as an alternative way of getting clothes because you are often supporting charities when you go to the thrift stores. You're keeping clothes out of the landfills, and you're finding some pretty cool things. I found, and I laughed hysterically when I found this, and I had to buy it for my sister. It was $6. She hates chickens, and this was a chicken purse. It was a plastic purse shaped like a chicken. Who just buys that originally? Like you go to the store and you're like, you know what would be really awesome in my wardrobe right now? A chicken purse. Anyway, my husband and I laughed so hard in that thrift store. People were staring at us. I had tears and yes, had to buy that purse. And it turned out well. It looked like my sister's husband had seen one online and was going to buy it for her. So he laughed hysterically when she opened the gift. And it was that very purse. See, I know some things. Oh, maybe not the best thrifting purchase I've had, but definitely the most memorable. So I'm curious, are you one that loves to go through the aisles and take a look at the different treasures at the thrift stores, or you just know we're going to the store and just getting her done, not interested in that thrifting hunt? Text in 905-338-1250. This is a hilarious text message. Dunder Mifflin, I think I'm saying this right, was a shirt somebody found at a thrift store and their best find ever. It's a reference from The Office. Clearly, I need to watch that show. I've only seen a few episodes and I'm feeling judged. I am. What is your best thrifting find, and do you thrift or not, is our conversation for today. So you can always text or call 905-338-1250. Got a high-end coffee maker at the thrift store. I like to go to the thrift stores in some of the more expensive, richy areas. You get good finds. You know what? That is so true. The thrift stores to go to are the ones in the more wealthy communities. You get some good deals. I once saw a watch. It was $5,000, and that's like, whoa, that's not thrift store prices. But my husband Googled this watch. It was valued at $14,000. Why was that in a thrift store? I have no idea, but you know what? You just never know what kind of hidden treasures you'll find. I'm Hollie Taylor, and a beautiful story from Lexi was sent to me via email. And if you've got a feel-good story, you can email me as well. It's Hollie, and that's Hollie with an I-E, not a Y, at joyradio.ca. Lexi says that she is a counselor at a secondary school, and she can see firsthand how unkind kids can be. But sometimes they surprise us, and they can be extremely compassionate. Her school did a college days where kids were encouraged to dress up in college type gear. So, borrowing your parents' college shirt if they have one. I don't actually have one. I don't know what I did with any of that stuff, so we'll have to see what we can do for my kids. But they did this trivia game with buzzers and this whole thing for the secondary students, and 6 students would come up at a time. They would be challenged with their trivia, and they actually invited some of the students that were from their self-contained classroom. So these are children who needed a little extra support. And so the teacher, Lexi, or counselor rather, she was a little nervous, she says. I mean, how are the classes in the one track going to respond to the classes in the other track? And so it turned out to be a needless worry for her. She said that the student actually ran up to hit the buzzer, and this was one from the self-contained class, and he was stunned. Wasn't too sure what to say for the answer, and another student came up to him and whispered the answer in his ear. Very confidently, he said the answer. He got it right. And before long, students were cheering and clapping their hands and really supporting the students who were from the other classroom. And so I just love that. Kids doing something empathetic, cheering on students who were actually now in a challenging situation, wasn't the same kind of classroom situation they're used to, and just gave them so much love and support. So Lexi, thank you so much for sharing what happened to you in this classroom and just seeing kids doing some incredible things. I'm Hollie Taylor, and we hear a lot, especially as we're gearing up for the elections on Monday, about housing, the housing crisis, inflation, our economic situation, and a lot of developers looking to be creative with finding new places for people to live and for them to build. And actually in Virginia, there was an old prison, and you know exactly where I'm going with this. It was the Lowerton Reformatory, and it was in active use during the presidency of Theodore Roosevelt. That's right. So it was a prison there. It was built with the intention that prisoners wouldn't feel like they're incarcerated. So kind of a different take on, incarceration and prisons in the U.S. Well, it fell into a bit of disrepair a few years back. And so back in 2002, a year after it closed down, a real estate developer got their hands on it and thought, what can we do with this prison? And the goal was to turn it into apartments. And guess what? They succeeded. They made this prison into a very nice living space, very modern feeling, not at all like you're in a prison. And they call it Liberty Crest Apartments. So once a prison, now a Liberty place to live, I guess. But people very proud and excited about how they took, the facade was nice, but obviously it wasn't an awesome place to be. It was a prison, and now it's completely redone, and the interior looks so sleek and modern. And so there you go, taking a bit of history and making it something that people can actually and actively use, creating a bit of a community there. I was going to say on the compound, but I guess it's not technically a compound anymore. It is wide open with a beautiful pool, and it is actually, they did a great job. I actually wouldn't mind living there, and it's pretty affordable. Can you imagine renting something $1,300 a month? Now it is US dollars, but still, it's pretty affordable. Anyway, maybe we can take some cues from this, getting creative with what we have, making it into something where people can live. Well, that's a wrap. Those are our favorite memories from this past week. Join me for more Good Company live every weekday from 4:30 till 6 p.m. here on Joy Radio. Oh, and don't forget, you can also catch up by subscribing to our Joy Radio podcast. If you'd like to join in on the conversation, text 905-338-1250. Thanks for listening. We'll see you on Monday.